Hi, welcome to the DIY Photo Organising podcast. I'm Fiona from Photo Helper.
And I'm Chantal from Simply in Order Photo Organising. Imagine you can find any photo at any time at the click of a button. We are here to show you how.
So let's get started. Hi, and welcome to episode 7 of the DIY Photo Organising podcast. And here with Chantal. Hi, Chantal.
Hi, Fiona.
Hello. So today we are going through the golden rule number 5, which is to do something.
Right, sounds exciting. What are we going to do?
Exactly. So what we're going to talk about in this episode today is really just encouraging you to really just start and to do something with what we've been talking about. So obviously we've given you a lot of information in our golden rules. And we just thought it would be a really great idea just to encourage you really just to start somewhere and just to take some action. And I think some action will motivate you then to continue on. And we're not saying that you have to start at the very beginning, although we would recommend that from a best practice point of view. But really our goal is to help and encourage you to just get started. And just to do something within any of those processes. So we've got a few suggestions and ideas and things like that. So really this episode is just to encourage you that we are really excited that you've found us and that you've come along this journey with us so far. And that you've obviously got a goal in mind and some reason that you're motivated enough to have found our DIY Photo Organising podcast. And so that's what we're here to do in this episode today.
That's good.
Yes. So Chantal, why don't you start off and give give some a few. What's your thoughts on if you were to have someone in front of you and say they're like, I want to do something with my photos? What would you say? To encourage them to do that?
Oh, where to start? Yeah. As you said, we've got our 5 golden rules, starting with backup. I find backup for me personally is always a big one, and I find lots of people don't back up their photos, and not even talking about the photo hub, but even the phone. Yeah. Look, it's a small setting on a phone that can make a huge difference. Yeah. To back up to the cloud, and I know that not everyone is very fond of the cloud, and some people really don't want to be in the cloud, and that's okay. There's other ways, but if you don't have a problem with that, this would probably be one of the first things that have a look at your phone settings. Make sure that you are backing up to the cloud as soon as you're connected to a wireless network. Yep. It's so easy. It's really a matter of maybe just a minute to change these settings.
Yeah. And it can be a real change, I think, in people, just in the way they're thinking about it, rather than it being such a burden. At least they know, at least my photos are safe from my phone, and then they can do something else with it. But at least that's a really great start.
Given that most people these days take most of their photos with a phone, that's probably where I'd start. Yep. That's a small step. It's easily done, and it can have a massive impact. Yeah, and that's if you've been listening to all our previous episodes, it can be quite overwhelming, and organising a whole photo project is huge. But it doesn't have to be. That's what we mean. What we want to really encourage you about. In this episode, start somewhere, even if it's such a tiny step that takes you 2 minutes. It's better than nothing.
Exactly. And sometimes that's just the thing that's needed to get people going into the next, area, and then start to get a plan in place.
Yeah. Where would you start?
Look, it depends on what. Definitely with the phone, I think that peace of mind is a really great thing. But say someone's already got that, for example, just so they already do have a backup, but they've got their mess and they've got their, they're just overwhelmed with that. I would say grab a cup of coffee. Or a glass of wine or something.
Ooh, that sounds even better.
and a friend, or just, sit in a place that is, is just a quiet space, and then just have a bit of a brainstorm with yourself or with somebody else, and just get a little bit of a clarity around what you really want to do. Because it is a big job. And so that would be, if there's a backup that's already been done and they're just like, oh, I just don't know where to start, even just grab a journal, grab a bit of paper, a napkin or something, and then just sort of put some things down as to really what they're wanting to do. And I think that again just brings that clarity to be able to start. But that's something. It's like just doing something, especially the glass of wine. Oh dear. So that's definitely something that we would do. What are some of the other things that people could do just to get started and do something?
Yeah, look, I'm being an organised person, obviously. I like lists. And I like plans and systems. So I always tell my clients as well, put some time aside for your photo projects, whatever it is, whether it's a huge big one or whether you just want to produce a photo book or a gift or something, however small or big it is. But sit down again and do some planning and write it in your diary, block out some time consciously. I think that's really important, and that is key in my experience to success, however big or small a project is. So, and I know you're very organised too, so if that's something you do.
I think it is. And I think when you make an appointment with yourself, and you really do, people use their time management in different ways, and but however that looks for somebody, it could be, really it is, make a time in your diary, and it could just be block out half an hour, and then just say, something with my photos in your diary, and just really, use that time to just start some structure and put something in. And, it's amazing what you can get done in half an hour. Even something like that. It's just really, it's like, anything else that people want to accomplish. If they've got sort of an exercise routine, or they're looking at, the intake of their diets and things like that, you really have to make a conscious decision. And a project like Photo Organising is really no different. It's just you can take a systematic approach to it, block out some time, make it a priority within your week to just do something. Maybe you can pop it on our Facebook page and let us know that you've done that first step or whatever that is. So great.
I also like another one that's really easy to do is when you have to wait somewhere at the doctor's, or if you're waiting for the bus or whatever, go through your photos and delete some. And
absolutely.
or even create an album and do some organising, some sorting. I like that. That's something that I like doing when I have to wait somewhere, and
that's a great idea.
Easy,
I think it's just, rather than being too overwhelmed with the project that it's too much, these little chunks, and I think all throughout the episode so far in the Golden Rules, there's lots of different little steps that can be taken, and that's a great one. Sitting, when you've got some time to wait and some things like that. Absolutely. Another thing maybe is even just people could think about the space that they're going to use, even if they can clear off, a bench, a table, create an area in a room so that when they're gathering their different albums or old devices, and in that gathering they can that could be something that people could do to do something, is within a physical space they can clear off a little area that when they start to see, or they're in a cupboard that they're organising and they see some old phone or USBs and something like that they can then at least designate one area to gather that information. And
so like you gather as you go. So if you come across an old phone or something, you've got a box ready somewhere, so just throw it in there kind of thing.
Exactly. Yep. That's definitely something else that they can do too. What about if we look at another good one could be to just do something which might be to re-listen to the podcast. in your spare time. But
Yeah,
that could be something else, even just to refresh. You know, if people are listening, you know, in transit, and you know, people listen at a whole range of different times, and it could just be that feeding of their mind to really be able to say, okay, so it's a conscious decision then when they're.
It's actually a good point, because when I think of myself, I like to listen to podcasts when I'm driving, so I can't take notes. And photo organising, especially these 5 golden rules that we're starting with here, are, you know, is a lot of information to take in. So yeah, that's a good idea. You might want to go back and just take some notes and write the list, and then you've got your process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's a good idea.
That sounds good. That sounds good. So I think, I mean, there's lots of different things even throughout some of the other episodes that we could give some suggestions. Even an idea could be, you know, the next time you're at the shops and you're going past a store that has external hard drives, just step in and have a little look.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily have to make a commitment on buying one yet, you know, maybe, but just even making that conscious decision to have a look at the prices, see the differences in the different sizes of external hard drives, and even that is taking a step in that direction to find yourself, you know, a hub, and that could be something.
Check
you know,
out what's out there.
Which is definitely doing something.
Yeah.
Moving forward, that's what we're all about here.
There's a lot of small steps involved along the way. So yeah. And I know that just comes to mind that we mentioned the logbook quite a few times.
Yes.
So, you know, even that, go to the shops and get yourself a really nice notebook that brings you joy when you open it, and not just any, you know, of course it can be a simple exercise book for 99 cents. But maybe you feel more motivated when you've got a really lovely notebook that you like to have in your hands and to use then later on in your photo project.
Yeah.
So even that might be an idea.
Absolutely. And that could, because then when you're thinking of different things, having your, you know, your coffee or your glass of wine, you could write it down and, you know, just start to get some structure around it. And I think that's definitely, that's a great idea. That's wonderful. Anything else that we can sort of give out some suggestions?
Another thing that comes to mind is maybe, especially if you have an idea about, you know, you want to scan all your old family photos or something, you might not be the only one who's interested in that. So, you know, why not chat to other family members? Maybe you could do that together, and that would only be part of the whole thing. You know, you would say, okay, we focus on the old photos and we can do that together. It doesn't always have to be that huge, big thing.
Yeah.
Or if you have, let's say you've got a birthday or an anniversary or something coming up, and then you don't have the time to do your whole photo organising project.
Yes.
But, you know, why not quickly, or maybe not so quickly, who knows, grab a few photos and have them scanned, or scan them yourself, or create a slideshow just for that event, and that might kind of trigger another project then following this.
Exactly.
So you know, you can do little things, you don't always have to do the whole big thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that then can also give people some confidence that really once those steps are taken and they've made a start on something smaller like that, then, you know, they can slowly sort of tackle the bigger project of all of that and any of the backlog of photos that aren't organised. But, that's great.
And look, especially when we're scanning, I always find, you know, even if it's just 10 photos that you've scanned, it's better than none. You know,
absolutely. Yep, that's
small
exactly
steps,
right.
It's totally okay.
Yeah, because just little steps like that, and then eventually they'll all get done. Or even if another suggestion would be, even if they are going through some of those old photos to look at scanning, just go through the ones that are blurry, not the whole collection of the old photos, but just get rid of those ones that you don't need. And, you know, back into what we're talking about with the, you know, with that golden rule number 4 on sort and organise.
Yeah.
You know, if you haven't gathered everything, just when you're going through and you've seen a pile or an old album, and something like that. It's definitely a start. And I think, that's why we wanted to create a whole golden rule on this do something.
Yes.
Because, we know the power behind taking a small step and just really encouraging people just to make that step. And hopefully, I think with some of, listening to the podcast, there are these little ideas that some will resonate more with others.
Yes,
and that will be the thing really that may be the change for people to be encouraged and motivated to start those steps, because it can be obviously overwhelming.
It can. And talking about older photos or historical photos, what comes to mind also is that the stories that come with the photos are important too, but there might not be many people left, if any, who actually know the story behind the photos. So, have a think about where to start, and maybe this would be a start because, eventually the stories will be gone with the people, and sit together with these people, and even if it's on a phone, if they're too far away or something, and talk about the photos and hear the stories and try to gather them, even if you just use your phone app, what's it called, the voice memo, I think. Just to, rather than trying to make notes and write it all down, you can always do that later, but that would be, if you go and visit somebody who has these stories, do that. Even if it's just one or two photos, it's, again, better than nothing.
And I think then it gives a bit of a framework and a structure in their mind, in people's minds, as to what to do next once they've had that conversation. And I think that's great because, maybe you haven't caught up with someone and it's a lovely idea to do that, or maybe they see them very frequently, and that just would be a different way to have a conversation, and again, doing something and moving them forward in their photo organising project.
I've heard of families that do that sort of thing at family gatherings.
Oh, great.
Where they actually all bring photos and they talk about them and gather the stories and stuff.
What a great idea. Yeah.
Sounds great.
That is. It is. I love that idea. That's fantastic. Wonderful. Well, I think that's kind of given some hints and tips. Is there anything else that you're thinking of that maybe talk to a friend? We looked at that as an option, maybe just to really just have a chat with someone if it's on your mind, that let them know that you've been listening to a podcast on photo organising or something, and that they can, just some ideas, and they may even have some ideas too to help do that together.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Always easier.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Well, I think this has been great. I really hope that it's been something that has been able to help others really just brainstorm some ideas and really just move them along in their photo organising project.
That's right. So this is the end of our 5 rules.
It is.
Isn't it?
It is.
So from next episode on, we will kind of cover different topics and go a bit deeper, things like scanning, what is metadata,
so many
the cloud
options,
will be a big topic.
Yeah, how to make photo GIFs and books and slideshows and a whole range of different things.
So, if you do have specific questions, we would really love to hear about that. Get in touch with us on the Facebook page or send an email. However you want to, be in touch and ask away. We're happy to try and answer at least. We don't know everything, but we'll try to do, the best we can.
Yeah. And we'd also encourage you, we belong to an association called APPO, which is appo.org. And so wherever you're listening from, I know that we've got listeners from, all over the globe, really, which is wonderful. That's the best thing about podcasts, because it's not location specific. But, if you do need to, and you're interested to find a photo organiser in your area, it's a great resource and a great website to be able to just maybe get some help in doing that. If someone is listening and they do want help just in a certain area or something like that, then there's a great search feature on that website to find an organiser in your area.
Very good.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's great.
We'll see you again in about 2 weeks or so.
That sounds great. Thanks for listening.
See you then. Bye. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of DIY Photo Organising and found some inspiration, useful tips and strategies to support your photo projects.
We'd love to invite you to pop over to our Facebook page, DIY Photo Organising, and we welcome your questions, feedback and any future topics that you'd like us to cover. If there is someone you'd love to share this with, please click on share to help others take control of their photos too. Remember, have a look through our show notes for links to helpful information. I'm Fiona from Photo Helper.
And I'm Chantal from Simply in Order Photo Organising. And remember, we believe in you and you can do this.